hidden weapons would be very interesting in this scenario, but you need something to actually make a battle that you can start. So we need some type of droid or non-alien to come to the audience chamber, but he's paying some force. It looks like he has IG-88 from hand.
And then one of the plays I like is to move Boba's gun over to Ig.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you get to keep it a little bit easier. And there's Dr. E combo too. So I was looking through Hayes' hand just now. It looks I saw they're tracking us, so that's going to be good for whatever shot that whoever he takes. They're counting up battle destinies now to see who gets what and power, it looks like.
I haven't seen a force pay to battle, but if you're Ryan, I assume you have to battle here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he hasn't done it yet. There
There's
is
quite a
quite a
move.
mercenary.
Gemp Tom has asked, "Our decks are different today?" Yes, they are. Yesterday, Saracen was playing map. Hayes, however, ran back Obi Muning. And he's carefully reading what the mithril does and does not anymore.
Jared points out in chat that if Boba doesn't have the gun, he can't play the battle canceller, but that is incorrect. If he is escorting a captive, it can be played. You can also play He's No Good to Me Dead to have Fets add one to their weapon destiny draws for remainder of turn.
And it'll be interesting to see if Ryan uses Fets once per game, kind of go into your reserve deck, pull out a key card and replace it with a card in hand. Maybe he has a high destiny like, oh, I don't know, Imperial Artillery that he wants to put back in. I know that's common in CCT or probably a different five, but I'd be curious to see what he does now.
Yeah, and I don't know if I said this or started to say it and didn't finish, but Hayes did play quite a mercenary to cancel Dr. E's text.
And Jane,
Down
you're not
comes
dumb.
down comes Gragra.
Who?
Gragra. Gragra is one of Ryan's cards. I think he's the only one I really see play it is Ryan and Chris Werfs. But when somebody is deployed to Gragra's site, Gragra can use one force to make the person pay two force. Otherwise, that character that was just deployed goes back to hand, I think.
Okay, and let's see. It looks like Ryan has three force saved at this point.
Okay, so he does not battle, and he transfers the mithril over to Ig.
Which interesting. It'll give Hayes an opportunity to reinforce. And looking at his hand, I know we already see Master Luke. We see his saber in hand. Looks like he has a Tantive 4. Not that that's going to matter this game, this matchup, but Ryan saves two and
I
passes.
mean, I thought he gave it to Ig, but now it's sitting with Boba again.
Which is interesting because Ick did the tunnel because he
Yeah,
went through his force
that's probably
pile
just
and
setting it somewhere.
yeah. Stubley's asking, did Hayes start site work? He did. His three were Walkling. I must be allowed to speak in site work.
All right, so Hayes grabbing out a is that the antechamber?
That does look like the antechamber that he's placed to separate between the AC and the dungeon. So your idea of having a place to run to if you're Hayes is still valid, although I don't think he's going to want to, or he's going to need it because it sounds like all the action is going to stay at the AC. So Hayes paying 4.
Is Yoda Master of the Force virtual? And then 5 here for probably Luke.
Master Luke, yep. Which will get his used pool.
Well, it's going to get Grogrod first. So 2 more cards in there to look at.
Just give
I'm
Hayes
looking
more
at
cards.
a
Scanner
photo.
text.
Say it again.
I think I see a scanner text in Hayes's used pile. I could be wrong. I'm just trying to zoom in on the image, but
I'm looking at a
actually,
photo of from Slack where Mike Kessling is playing Yoda communing against Anthony Howard playing Huntdown.
the card from Hayes's used pile might also have been the light side close call. You do have your moments. I'm not sure, just based off the photo. Although we do see a clash in Hayes's hand as well.
Yep, here it goes.
Which he just played. And looks like Boba with the captive and his gun are going to be excluded from the battle.
Yeah, and so I guess maybe Ryan just drew a card last turn.
Yeah, he has 2 force save because he activated 1.
Oh no, I mean
the
like we thought maybe he pulled a card with Egg, but maybe he was just drawing a card.
I'm pretty sure I saw him flip over the 3 cards. I could be wrong, but all right, looks like Hayes paid 1 to battle. He's paying 1 to shoot with Leia, I assume.
Well, he activated 1 and then paid 1 to battle. So that's all he's done so far. Looks like no response from Ryan.
Mhm.
Yeah, if he's able to shoot, say, Mighty Jabba here, that could be big. But I think actually Mighty Jabba is protected from being shot. Looks like he's
Now
going to
there's a
shoot Dr.
discussion.
E. Draws a
Makes
5.
sense. Yep.
So
Dr. E
Dr. E
goes
goes
lost.
lost. And I think that's good for Hayes, just getting him out of there. I also think that's a second quite a mercenary. Well, no, I guess his deck did get shuffled.
So it looks like he's swinging now with Luke. He drew a 5 and a 1,
Yeah,
which
so
hits
Zeiser.
Zizor, sorry.
Whatever.
Hey, I'm gonna go with you on however you want to pronounce it.
Everybody tells me I'm wrong, so it's fine.
Being wrong's
I'll say
overrated.
something different every time. That way some of it will be right.
That's what keeps it fun. So Hayes is looking. We know that Despair is going to add 4 to the total.
Except it won't because the captive is inactive. So the captive is not what's scum.
That must be what the discussion is right now and why they're looking at it. JNAP saying that the correct name rhymes with Caesar salad. So she's or it is.
Everybody loves a good Caesar salad.
So just going off of the power here, Yoda's gonna have 3 because he's not defending. Leia's 3, Luke's 5, Lando is 5. So we're at 16, and I'm trying to see if I can get to what um Ryan's power will be, because Mighty Jabba is 3. We see a Jedi Lev drawn for Destiny,
Hera drawn for Destiny.
which will
So
get a Dark Time.
So it was 7 total, it's now 6 total.
Mhm.
Ryan draws 2 Destiny also. He drew Jabba's Haven and an Aura Sing, which I think is a 4 and a 2.
Yep. So it looks like Hayes is going to clear the side except for Ig. And Hayes hasn't removed anybody from his side. I wonder if he used Lando or lost Lando, but then used Obi's once per game to revive him. And now Hayes is pulling out his phone to look up something on Scott.
They're probably trying to figure out if the Mithril can be transferred here while Fett is
Inactive.
Yeah. Well, he's not inactive anymore, but he is clashed.
Because Clash basically says you can't move or battle, correct? But he's
Right.
still there. So it's like,
Well, the thing is,
can't
you might not be able to move captives while you can't move, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, and just brought up in the chat that, yeah, it looks like they're looking at the advanced ruling to see what the ruling is there, because this could be big. Because if it can be transferred, it could give Ryan a chance to stabilize, see what's in his use pile, and come back for next turn. But it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I think Hayes is trying to do us a solid and
Is he
zoom in
trying
on the
to
ruling.
help us?
Yes, because he probably has an earpiece because he's listening to all of this. I'm joking, he is not. Transferring captive is movement, pretty sure. So yes, I see Hayes turned upside down. And I said Obi, the can't believe he's gone effect, indicating that he probably lost Lando to cover the 6 and kept him back. So looks like we're now in Ryan's activate phase. I mean, if you're Ryan here, I'm not sure what you do to kind of counter beat back, I mean, stabilize back into this. You probably transfer. And it doesn't look like Hayes has pulled aim high, so Ryan's going to retrieve 1 for free. Well, looks like we have Eric Hunter in the chat. Hi, Eric. Now he pulled aim high. No, he put it back underneath. So, Bill, if you're Ryan, what is your priority for this turn?
So Hayes clashed on his turn, so it's you're still without Boba Fett on your turn, right?
And Hayes' next turn, because he wouldn't be unclashed until the end of his next turn, correct?
Correct. So Boba will get to block that drain next turn. Ig needs to go hide, I think. Well, I guess Boba won't even get to block that drain because Leia is there.
Yep. So it looks like Arca is deploying to the cantina. I mean, if you're Ryan, do you just say that's good enough? Because so many of the good cards, and we see Duro going
Yep.
down
Yeah,
to
Duro.
the antechamber.
Yeah, so I think he's trying to spread out a little bit here and be able to cause a little damage,
Hmm.
potentially giving up the audience chamber at this point. It's unfortunate that I don't know if you've seen it or not, but Hayes definitely has a neighbor in his hand. So tough to play around that and be able to spread.
Yeah, because if you're Ryan at this point, you can block the drain for another turn and then move away on Ryan's next turn. And Hayes has committed a lot of his characters to the table. He probably has, we mentioned Blount. Um, we see Django Fett coming down to the antechamber to go with Duro.
Yeah, I think you'll see Ig move there.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, he
Yep.
doesn't. That Boba's not going to block that drain because of Leia. That Erica is not going to be able to do damage because of Leia. So it's really just like a no-win position for Ryan on that turn.
Right. So I mean, if you're Hayes, you're sitting here thinking drain,
Yeah, this feels
maybe.
like I mean, he's got two choices, right? He can pay 3 to drain, and pay 4 to kill scum, and then what's the drain there? The drain there is 3. That's reasonable.
Hmm.
He can also just neighbor everybody to the cantina.
Which I feel it's more important to get rid of scum if you have the opportunity because it there it goes to the lost pile.
Yeah, so he's paid 4 to put scum in the lost pile.
Mhm. Oh, hey, what do you know? I'm caught back up.
Yeah,
And
he
he
went ahead
stopped.
again. So pays 3 here to drain, it looks like.
Hmm. With like a top deck, I missed a couple of the cards, but I did see a Maul Synth Infiltrator and maybe Zuckus, the
A
character
red,
from hand.
I think it was a red card from hand.
Can't tell from the image. Sorry about that. Hayes is counting how many cards he has left in his reserve deck. Or his force pile. I'm not sure which side he goes to.
Yeah, that's his reserve deck. Because it's 12 plus whatever he's still holding in his hand. So 17 cards. I wonder if he's not actually counting, he's tracking some of the stuff from last turn.
Quite possibly. And it looks like he is playing the Nabrin. Ryan's playing or paid 1 to grab it. He drew a 5, which moves the entire force in front of Django, Duro, and Iggy.
Okay. So it looks like the neighbor did stick.
Yep. And it looks like we're going to have a battle.
All right. So currently, Ryan's drawing 2 destinies, but getting rid of Darrow will drop that to 1. I
Mhm.
think you'd see him shoot Darrow here. Unless he knows what he's got and he can shoot Django, but he needs a 5 to do that.
Which he's paying the 1 now to take the shot. And it's the other quite a mercenary, which shoots Django. And you're absolutely right, Bill. He was counting to see what the destinies were from last turn. So we have a brief pause. It looks like Hayes is trying to read what the Carbon console actually does and if it plays anything into this battle.
Yeah, so he's going to use 1 force to get He's All Yours Bounty Hunter,
Yep.
which will allow Ig to draw Destiny. if it was in there, but it's not.
All right, this is hopefully Ryan has a gick here because this is going to be a pretty one-sided piece. So
Maybe he
it
didn't pay the one force. I don't know what happened there.
looks like Luke swung at Duro and hit him. We still haven't seen the pay 1 to add 5. Looks like Hayes is just going to draw Battle Destiny. He draws a 3 and a 5. I need to time this up a little bit better because now I just sound like I'm, profit.
You're good.
And I think we added this up. It's a base of 16 power because I didn't see him pay the 1 to add with Obi. So
Yeah, so I saw what happened
23.
here with the console chamber. The console chamber says once during opponent's turn, if a frozen captive on table, and because he's inactive because he's clashed and we're at a battle,
Yep.
he's not technically on table. So not able to pull He's Bounty Hunter.
Which Duro is power 2 and Iggy's 3.
He's 4.
So 6, and Ryan is starting to peel. He has lost at least 5 cards from hands. He loses Proxima from used, and oof. I think this is an overflow of at least 14.
Yeah, it's interesting he's deciding to keep Ig here. No, or make Ig the last card. Okay.
Which tells me he hopefully has a no escape in hand to try and get Ig back.
Well, he will retrieve 1 next turn with his
Oh,
objective.
from the objective, yeah.
Yeah. Hayes getting to see
So
some of these cards that were lost. I saw a couple interesting things. I saw the Maul out of his hand, a second
15.
infiltrator, and also much anger in him. Saw the artillery and the close call there.
Jabba's Haven along with the passenger deck. And I think an O switch off was one of the other cards that went. Oof, that is a rough turn.
Yeah, definitely not great for Ryan. So what he has to do now is just kind of try to fight for differential, right? Like, I mean, Hayes has probably, let's see, I think he counted 17 in his reserve deck to start that turn, and then had activated what, 12? So probably close to 30 cards still in Life Force. You got to work to get that number down. And then
Yeah,
Ryan
and
counting
just
his right now.
doing a quick count, I think Ryan has 15 left in his reserve deck. And 5 in hand.
Yeah, I'm looking at Battle Order First Strike, an AI that I don't recognize, a ship, a character, and a red card. So two
I
two
think the
dark
character is Forlong, maybe. Like I can make out a little bit of the red, like on the left
That might be
side.
Afra, actually, that first one. Just based on the title.
The one right behind Battle Order.
Yeah. And then you think Forlom is the last one?
Yeah, because like I'm trying to go by image, and that looks non-AI, just the normal one has like some red in the background on the left. So
yeah, and I could see him playing a non-virtual Forlom, so it wouldn't be AI.
Hayes does his communing peak, Morse code out with his fingers on what to do, and puts it to the bottom. Eric, if you're watching, can you tell us what that Morse code tapping on the table actually means? Is that a tell? All right, so he pays the one for Lando's maintenance. So Ryan activated 13, and I think he has.
He's got 3 or 4 left there, so it's not.
Yeah, 4.
So 17, 18 cards, 5 in hand. It's not ideal situation, but not certainly as dire as we might have thought it was.
Right. So, I mean, you're gonna retrieve. Aim high is now out, so that's good. So Ryan's options are gonna be pretty limited. You probably pay to drain.
Well, even if you pay to drain, it's just gonna get canceled by Leia.
Oh, that's right. So Ryan did not retrieve during his control phase. He went ahead and played Afra to get Iggy back. Afra went to Obi-Wan's hut. We see the Force paid to put Iggy back on table, which I imagine now he'll get the captive.
Yeah, but he can't do that until move phase.
Right. So we're going to see one to move Afra over. See the gun transfer, or sorry, the captive transfer to Iggy. Now we see a tunnel.
So yeah, I don't think you drain until Clash is not that top card.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
All right, so Ryan saves 3 and passes back to Hayes.
Yeah, so not the best turn, but not the worst turn.
I mean, he gets Iggy back on table so he can get some of the tricks that are left in his deck. We're not sure many, but that's another card coming out of his life force, which,
Yeah.
as you've mentioned, after losing a battle that big, this is all about getting differential. So game 2 can be something that is manageable.
I mean, it's at least worth noting that he's only facing down 2 damage from drains, right?
Mm-hmm. And he still, on the bright side, the largest part of Hayes is, let's see, Forlom and that Battle Order First Strike, I think are what went to the loss, both from hand. And now we see 3PO with this part showing go down to the Cantina. Hayes is putting a card back, drew a card. I think he drew Sand, which probably not really relevant anymore.
Yeah, I don't even think you would play Sand.
No, that's
Just
2
because
cards out of
it's
your life force.
yeah. I'm always
Um,
wary when 3PO goes somewhere that's not like random, like right in this deck, if it's not the hut.
mhm.
I'm always wary of were you looking for me to
Looking
add
for
a
me.
destiny at some point?
Yeah. Which clearly that's what this signals, because we see in Hayes' hand he has Padme. I didn't see any other characters, but we see Hayes starting to draw a few more. He moves everyone over to block or to come back to the AC. And Hayes has 5 cards left, 4 cards left. Does his communing peak, decides to leave that one there. Draws it into his hand and passes to Ryan. Ryan has 6 cards in hand, 7 cards in hand, and activates everything.
Yeah, and that
So
seems
he'll use his Iggy pull. I mean, given what we saw come out of his deck and what's left, and the fact that Boba still has his gun, I wonder what Ryan is digging for here.
I think this lets him see what options he does have left, right? So
Mm-hmm.
maybe he can try to figure out certain lines of play. If there are lines where he can, make Hayes lose in force. I think that starts with trying to get rid of Leia so that you can drain at the Cantina. So maybe he's looking for a kick, so you can start a battle that's not necessarily in your favor, but where you can get some stuff done.
Or a wounded warrior to just play that to cancel her game tax for a turn if you're trying to get a damage, but that doesn't seem like a great play, but it would get rid of, at least bury the clash a little bit. So we see Ryan retrieve 1 from the objective.
Yeah, either of those plays are grasping at straws at this point.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's got a better line in mind.
Hopefully it's I mean, he can go to the carbonite chamber, but that's just a drain of 1. He plays now Hutta. We'll finally see the ship that's been in his hand, which was Slave One.
And that's again, it's just unfortunate for Ryan because Hayes has all the answers, right? Like I've seen his hand a couple times. I've
He's got
seen
a Tantive.
Tantive and at least one other ship, I think.
And I know he's got, oh, Ghana Gleamort comes down to the antechamber. So I feel like this is move everyone away and let's see what Hayes wants to do. Yep, and that's what's happening. Everyone runs away. Ryan has one card left in his force pile. He recirculates, and now we're back on to Hayes, who did 3PO in his turn. So pretty sure this is a total deja vu from a day one game last Worlds. JNAP, I wasn't sure there was a lot of CCT at last Worlds, but I'd be curious to see who's in that matchup. All right,
I
Hayes
wonder if
is
he's talking about 2022.
Well, that would make sense.
Decent amount of 2022. And I think Ryan did play CCT.
Probably
At that
against
tournament.
Yoda communing. Because Obi had not really come into the limelight, so to speak, until after the errata to Yoda communing. So looks like Hayes paid the 3 to drain. And Ryan top decked someone.
Yeah, he lost one with Ghana Gleamort from hand to cancel the drain.
Yep. And Hayes is showing his hand. He has a Blount. Oh
That's
no,
his
that was his
reserve
reserve deck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blount, free ride, tracking us.
And he's going to get force pushed.
Mm-hmm. Force push combo with Pod Racer Collision. So, which is white border. So, kudos to Ryan for taking the time to make sure you click the white border option on the V kit.
It's good to see a set 22 card in there too.
Mm-hmm. I've added it to a lot of my decks that don't play Jedi. I mean, it's just such a good card to include. Plus, it's a budget copy. I have plenty of Pod Racer Collisions. So.
Should have been playing those the whole time.
I should have, and now I'm incentivized to play them.
That's fair.
I mean, they were in my box of useful cards that, in case anyone needed it. So. Oh, JNAP's pointing in the chat that, yeah, it was Yoda commuting. So we see Hanshu and the Falcon come down, and Ryan has a barrier, which Hayes quickly grabs.
Yep, and I thought that might have been the case when he chose Bith Shuffle to put out a play.
And Hayes is paying a few more force.
That looks like Tantive to me.
That would be, yeah, because he paid 4, and now he's taking it back. But he's double checking to make sure he paid for everything correctly. Yep.
Mike Kessling has reported in our chat that he won game 1 by 9 force with Yoda commuting versus Anthony's hunt down.
Yoda communing versus hunt down, that can go a lot of ways. It really just depends on how the opening hand goes. We see Padme come down to the antechamber. Looks like Show came over and gave a time check.
How is that? Is Uncle Curveball, is that Charles?
No, show I saw him on camera come over and say something verbally to the players, so. Looks like they're counting up power again. I saw a message from Batmouse that he killed 3 undercover spies in that game with Mike.
All in on Jin, baby.
Is that going to be the next New Allies t-shirt?
All in on Jin.
Yeah.
Maybe the next New Allies drink.
I'm happy to theory craft with you this weekend at Ohio Mega Worlds with you and Greg.
Looks like we're getting some action here.
Yeah, it looks like Master Luke had come over with Run Luke Run and is battling into and hits Ghana Gleamore. If you're Ryan, I assume you're probably going to take a shot at Padme, but the attrition, let's see, he drew a 5.
Well, yeah, I think you have to shoot it. Yeah, you probably don't play sixes to hit Luke, but I guess
Right.
it's +2, so you can hit Luke. But
Well,
yeah, I
it's
think you
plus
have to
2.
shoot Luke.
Is it +2 from the gun itself, or do you have to play the interrupt?
It's +2 from the gun itself. The
Yeah,
interrupt
so
will
yeah,
add
you
1 and make
definitely.
them forfeit 0.
Yep, so you definitely he hit Luke.
Yeah, he has to do that because otherwise, I mean, his battle's still going to be 0. Battle destiny is
Yeah.
still going to be 0.
I'm waiting to see if Hayes pays the 1 to add 5. Because Luke's 5, Padme is a 3, so it's 8 to Ghana is
Ghana should be power
3,
5. Chelly
5,
should be 2 or 3. Ig is 4. Bo is 4.
right?
So that's what, 13, 14, 15 or 16?
And then would he get the power bonus from Despair?
No, because it needs to be with scum.
Yep. So he draws Blount for the first for Battle Destiny. And Ryan Drew.
Drew a
Obviously, it's
4,
going to
but
use
it's a 0.
0. Yep.
And then a 4 for attrition destiny from Hayes.
So that's 5. So it'll be Ghana and Boba.
Yeah, because it's 6 total, right? So Boba would make the most sense.
Yeah. So Ryan lost Ghana. He lost Shelly and Boba, leaving just alone Iggy staring at Padme. I can't tell who is piloting the slave one. Hayes picked it up. It might be Cad.
Yeah, he flashed the title a couple times. That would be a good guess, I think.
Yeah. Hondo's a pilot. I mean, I couldn't tell from the photo. Hondo
Yeah,
wouldn't make a lot of
Cad
sense.
or Honda would make the most sense.
Yeah. Given who's left. I assume it's probably Cad because he could draw Battle Destiny. Hondo could. Oh no, they both could. They both draw off on level 2. And it looks like Hayes is splitting up the squad a little bit. He moves maybe Lando to join Padme.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward because I think you want Leia with Padme, but moving Leia over doesn't make as much sense because Ig is already there.
Right.
And it would cost you too much force to kind of move everybody around. So that's a reasonable little squad there, Padme and Lando, just like in the movies. You get to, if he does battle into you, you get to retrieve a card, Added power, you get 2 destiny.
Ryan, 1, 10, 11, 12. It looks he activates everything. He has 2 in hand. So if you're Ryan, you're gonna drain. You can put the 1 back on top,
Yeah, but I
but
think the last thing you want to do is put the
Saber
saber.
back in the deck. I
But I
mean,
mean,
well, 3PO could just go and get it, so that doesn't really help much.
yeah,
So he's gonna use his Iggy pool. I see a lot of red.
yeah, it looks like 3 characters total in that pile.
Yeah, I did see a stunning leader in there, but I don't know. Maybe that's helpful if anything comes down to the cantina. But at this point, the only characters Hayes would have left is obviously another copy of Master Luke, because he's gonna run 3 of them.
Yeah.
Uh Ray would be a consideration. Hera,
Yep.
and we know Blount. I'm trying to think of other characters we commonly see.
I mean,
Chirrut,
after that, it
maybe.
gets kind of weird, right? It's like kind of dependent on the player of what they want to play. I mean, Jin is one more that you could mention.
Yep.
And then, yeah, like I ran Chirrut in mine. Some of them play Ezra.
Yeah. So we see Ryan retrieve both from the objective and from Arica because Luke is not on the table. So he activated 12. He has 10 force left. Actually 9, because it looks like he took 1 card into hand, and one of the cards in his hand is a Shizor.
Yes,
2, 3,
that's
4.
Shizor and Greedo are the 2 characters in his hand, and
Yeah.
a Gik.
So Shizor comes down to the carbon testing chamber, which will be a drain of 1.
Yep, but that's not one that can get blocked by Leia, so that's why he's
Yep.
going there.
He's paying 2 to add Greedo as a passenger to the sleigh of 1. Some forfeit fodder. He's paying the 1 to move Iggy to the prison, and then does the once per game of putting the captive back to retrieve 2 and saves 1. Recirculates, activates. He's activated, and I still think has a healthy amount. So Ryan's losing 2 from deck, or he lost a cold feet, a battle order, first strike combo, and 1 other card.
That was artillery.
Yep. So reserve deck, we see Anakin Saber.
Relatively unprotected in there.
It's good Walker tech along with TTO. We see Master Luke come down to face off against his future wife and non-canon Star Wars lore. Pulling
And
Anakin Saber from the reserve deck. Did you just say an oh man when I mentioned the fact that,
no, I'm very excited that we could see Were You Looking for Me played to Add a Destiny.
yeah. Tantif comes down to now Hutta. All right. Looks like,
Yeah, this has been pretty tough for Ryan, just because
yeah.
anytime he tries to gain any traction, he's just had the perfect cards to do things.
And I mean, he just the matchup is so favored for Obi Muning that you have to pretty much hope that your opponent just dead draws. And that's just not something you're going to have happen with use pile pulls with 3PO. There it is. Were you looking for me to add a destiny?
Yeah,
There we go. A swing, draws a 1 and a 7. Arca is hit. Is he gonna add? Is he gonna pay the 1 to add?
I don't think you need
You don't need
to.
to. He draws a 5 for Battle Destiny. And he draws a 4, so that's 9. And we see the Gick come out and drew a 2, so didn't crack Luke's immunity.
Yeah, but you do get 3PO. That is the trade-off here.
That is the trade-off. So Hayes only gets to do that once.
He did his job.
He did.
I think
And
we'll
we
see
see one pay.
balance space here too.
Yep. So Hayes is gonna have Power Destiny, which is a 1. And we see Scanner Text. So I was right, that was the card. And we see the. Is that no good to me dead?
No, that's He's All Yours Bounty Hunter. That's
He's
a
all
4.
yours, Hunter. Yep. And Tom's asking, new Wookiee and Scum seems weird. It's a choice. I think it's great for like keeping the audience chamber from being over like just too crowded, but
So that is Hondo piloting. So he's power 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to what is it? 8, 12, 17, 18.
yeah.
So loses everything.
And Hayes loses Tantive. Leia moves over. And Yoda used his once per game relocation to move to the moisture farm. So Ryan's activating. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Leia stayed put, right?
10, 11. Yeah, Leia's still at the AC. Yoda just moved. So Ryan's going to use Iggy. I see Boba in there, his gun, and a lot of red.
Yep.
And we're gonna see Hayes pull simple tricks. So Ryan can't pay to drain for 1 at the dungeon. So
That also prevents him from retrieving one with his objective.
Yep. So we see 3/4. Shizor comes back. That must have been the card he pulled with Iggy's Tunnel to the console. We see Ghana Gleamore come down to Moss Isley. And the last card in Ryan's hand. He's drawing a couple. Say he drew everything, so it looks like he has a Stunning Leader
Well,
and a few other cards.
I don't love Ghana to the to Mos Eisley. I understand why he did it, but Luke's just gonna move over there.
Yeah, this is gonna be bad. All right, so we see drains here of 1, 1, 2, and 1. And he did the Ghana Gleamort to cancel the drain of the Cantina. Then Luke moves. And the 1 card in Ryan's hand is an imbalance combo. So this is pretty much going to be game.
Ryan was laughing about it. I think he didn't realize.
Yeah. So
Luke has 2 sabers.
drew a 1 and a 2, which was still
2
enough
cards
to hit.
back.
Drew a 5, drew disarmed. And Ryan is laughing, and I think is gonna just scoop to the overflow. So we'll see how much Hayes wins by. Three, 4, 6. That something close to 20, I would think.
That's
21?
30. I think it was 30
At
even.
30.
And I think
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think based on what he just
Ryan
said,
extending the hand, yeah, I
I think he's
think,
scooping.
yeah.
All right, so Hayes winning by 30. To be seen if we will have a game two in this matchup or if Ryan's going to concede.
Yep.
And
So
we'll see
with
what we have
that,
for you.
yeah, we're gonna take a short break. Once we figure that out, we'll be back. All right. Stay tuned, everyone. So Bill, are you still, oh.
What's up?
I'm trying to see, do I have to mute myself on the stream?
Can you hear us on the stream? Yes, they can hear us.
Okay. Um, Okay, everyone. Well, we are back. We have uh Bat Mouse against Mike Kessling. Both players are shuffling up. We have Shadow Collective versus Y40. So give me a second and I'll get the update. We know that Kessling won by 9. The first matchup was Hunt Down versus Yoda Communing. So give me a second and I'll get the graphic fixed.
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup too, I think. I think Batmouse has played this Yavin 4 ops a lot, so he kind of knows what to do against the Shadow Collective, and it'll be interesting to see what tech cards he has. I know I played him at Endor, I think it was Endor last year, in this same matchup, and he alt started what chance do we have? But I don't see that on table now.
No, it looks like we have Walkling, Jedi Biz, and Squadron Assignments.
Yeah, and the Jedi Business version is a little different from the version that Batmouse had run in the past.
And Mike on campus troop, a bunch of numbers.
1023.
Thank you.
It's Trooper Davin Felth. Trooper 1023.
And sorry, folks, we're not going to give you lost piles. I don't have those, but yeah. The question, Saracen conceded the match. Yeah, it looks like he did. So if you're Kessling, obviously he had the choice and went light side first in game 1 against Bat Mouse. It's probably pretty easy to put him on this deck because he's been playing it since National. He's played at Worlds. He's been playing in a lot of events. So if you're Mike, at least you go into this game with a cushion being up +9. Shadow Collective can put a lot of damage, especially if, and it looks like Mike is starting the Maul Saber effect. There'll be no match for you, inconsequential losses, and you'll be dead. So it'll be curious to see how this plays. It looks like Mike stepped away for a second, so we just see Bat Mouse. Bat Mouse.
Yeah. And interestingly, you and I played this matchup at Yavin Regionals this year, and I'm pretty
Yes, we
sure you
did.
beat me.
I
But
did. I think you shot me a bunch of times and I kept blowing up your space package. So
seems right. The one
it's
thing
back
that
when
is
you thought
different,
Gaul was good.
yeah, the one thing is I was running a Gaul and starting Jury Juice, whereas Mike is running the no match, which is probably stronger against the Jedi here because you can teleport them all around.
In my testing, I tried a lot with Jury Juice. I tried Gaul. My personal highlight is in a game with MHT. He was playing clones. He shot Lady Proxima and I galled her out of his battles. So that was nice.
It looks like
Um,
Chris Werfs won by 4 in their matchup against Sam in game 1. That was that time.
and Steve Preston won by 20. We don't have deck matchups, or unless those were posted somewhere.
No, not specific matchups. But yeah, so Mike in this matchup is going to be able to put a ton of damage out pretty quickly just by getting, guys with guns to First Light or to Camino, or Cloud City, I guess, too. Bad Mouse has to kind of work for his damage a little bit more, right? Because he's got to be able to pay for drains and draw high enough to get the extra 2 cards.
And then be very strategic when he plays this Jedi. So he's going to be running Mace. He's going to be running Qui-Gon Serene. I don't think he's going to want to try and get into a hit and run. He's probably going to wait for Kessling to establish at his sites and then pick one or deploy the Camino battleground and use that as kind of his place and, dare him to have Maul teleport over. To be curious to see if Mike is playing any type of protection, like a force field or stunning leaders to kind of protect Maul if he gets into some battles. So And Bill, you might be able to get some insight. I know Sam played a version of this in the OCS playoffs that was very similar, or was running the bridge and had some force fields. So I imagine, given their teammates, the builds are probably similar.
Yeah, I can actually pull up what they posted this morning.
Okay.
I'm not
All
going to give
right.
everything away, but
I wouldn't think so, but it's more like I would expect to see the bridge come out, and that can kind of tell you a lot about how the matchup goes. So,
yeah.
all
And then
right.
I
So,
also played against Batmouse probably a week or two ago. He was playing
mhm,
this Y4.
yep.
The space is not might not be as strong as you might think it is. I mean, obviously, like can shoot people down. The Falcon's gonna add a Destiny to power. Luke is going to um, potentially add a Destiny to power or be immune to attrition or both.
Yep.
But if you can just like hide and get first light up there, you can maintain a space presence as Darkseid.
Yeah, and Mike has got Maul in his saber, pulled the 2-0 from his reserve deck. If you're Mike, you don't see any kind of reason not to move Maul over. It's just kind of a preference if you want to pay the one to, yep, he's going to warp him over to the 2-0,
Yeah, I think the
save
faster you
one.
can get into a battleground is
Yep.
the better in this matchup.
Yeah. He draws one and says go. He's pulled his grabber, and we see secret plans come out. And we've reached the point in the chat or the time where stream is faster than what I'm seeing. So if I'm looking down, it's because I'm following along. Bat Mouse activates, pulls Camino from the objective, and pulls the 2-0. Probably checking to see if Haven's in there. We see him shuffling. Paid the one to get Camino the 2-0. We see him going back in there for something.
Yeah, probably just take a look and count things.
Yeah, or to go
Or
get
grab
Haven,
Haven.
which is
Yeah.
yeah. So I know this morning Bat Mouse was trying to make a few changes. He pulls a Saber because he plays Qui-Gon Serene with meditation from hand
It's
and
a little
down to
aggressive.
the uh tells me that he did not like the options in his reserve deck. He either didn't have a ship in hand, couldn't find Haven, and wanted to get all that back, would be my guess. But you're right, it is very aggressive.
Yeah, I think if you're Bad Mouse, right, your ideal first turn is get Luke to Camino and be able to
Mhm.
try to drain for 3 the next turn before Mike can
Yeah,
set up any kind of resistance or anything like that. But
Bat
going,
Mouse.
I mean, having meditation is not a bad thing here either, because that's going to affect just about every character in Mike's deck.
The only ones being probably Asajj would be the only non-alien that we typically see in Shadow Collective.
Yeah, and the mall that's already on the table. Don't forget about him.
All right, so we see simple tricks, and Mike goes to deploy, pulls accelerate to grab the bridge.
Yeah, and I wonder if Batmouse was a little worried about that drain of 2 hitting a key card. So I wonder if that forced him to go to a battleground, and if he had no space, maybe that's all he was able to do.
I mean, it makes sense because you're right that Y40, the space package, it's not inconsequential, but it's matching ships and you can't get too far behind before you get set up. So yeah, I imagine um he did not want to be in a situation like you and I were at Worlds last year where I got really aggressive and tried to drain with the saber and top deck one of my sites. And I'm pretty sure I looked at you and just said, well, I just lose. And your response was,
I think I said, yep.
yep. We played it out and yes, I lost. But Mike pulled one of the other 2-0 sites, and I think he's shaping to draw a few.
Yeah, and that's also reasonable, right? So
Yeah.
he's probably thinking, is Anthony going to pay 3 force to drain for 2, and maybe set himself back a little bit more? And meanwhile,
Yeah,
he can build his hand and be able to attack a bit better next turn. Also, I
and Bill,
apologize for the cat. The cat's loud.
Bill, you and I play a lot of Shadow Collective. My typical turn two is, get a site out, leave them all there, save a bunch, say go. And turn three is usually when a lot of the action kind of starts, and we see Kessling pull battle orders. So I did see the first light already, or it could be a whiteboard or Zuckus and Mist Hunter. I'm not sure. In Kessling's hand, so he definitely would have a response whenever Bat Mouse goes to space.
Well, I also think what's interesting here is Kessling also has a disarmed in his hand.
And we see Point Man.
Where'd you go?
I'm right here. I know you're talking to your cat. I can't tell what card Bill is or Mike is putting back. He is looking. He took the top card. I saw an aura, a blaster, and one other card. So
I think it was a red card.
yeah,
I didn't see which one.
no. I know he has a wounded warrior in his hand and a Sith Fury. So if you're Mike, even though Phantom Menace hasn't hit the table, that could be something where you warp him over and do play the disarm. So yep. And here Mike's grabbing Maul like he wants to do that, and then puts him back down.
I mean, the fact that he did pull Battle Order makes me think he's not going to do it, but
Yeah. And Batmouse is activated and thinking. Mike goes back, and yes, we see the warp. And we see a
nope, sorry about the
nope,
mess.
sorry about the mess. Yep. Draws a 1 and
A 2.
2. Yep. So miss, and now the disarmed comes. Mike grabs that saber and says, "You don't get to hold anything anymore. You've got no arms."
Well, he's got 1.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's not enough to hold a lightsaber, though.
I don't know what form it would be to be one-handed, but I'm sure it's out there. All right. So now if you're Batmouse here, I think you have to focus on setting up your space.
Well, you have an immediate problem here, and that's Maul facing down a disarmed Qui-Gon, right?
But in essence, well, it depends on what Mike does next turn. So yeah, you don't have anything to
Did he
move him away.
did he just battle and do nothing else?
I'm not sure.
I mean, he used a force, and then it looks like Mike swung.
And now force push gets played by Mike to move them out
That doesn't work, right?
because they're the same. It has to be less.
Yeah,
Or no, because Qui-Gon's a 7. So
yeah.
yep. All
That's what
right,
they're
so
figuring out.
yep. The old revert. Now, did Mike take the 2 force back that he played for force push and then I assume recirculate and reshuffle? He doesn't get the bonus because there's no blaster, but
Yeah, the disarmed is still there in Lost Pile too, which
yeah.
needs to be
So
on Qui-Gon.
Meditation doesn't come into effect, but we know that this will be a +2, so he draws a 4, which becomes a 6, which is enough to crack Maul's immunity.
Yeah, and I see Kowal in chat just said I wouldn't have swung. And I think
Yeah,
that's why.
I wonder if Mike's line was that force push the battle out and, take care of
Yeah.
the immediate threat. And now it's like, how is he going to recover from that? So Maul cover, so there wasn't anything there. He drew a Battle Destiny. I missed what it was. So
It was a 5.
okay. So no overflow from there. Bat Mouse is just drawing a bunch of cards and says go. So I think one of the cards that I saw in Mike's hand is Sith Fury. So could be that he Sith Fury's back Maul, or he could be playing 2 copies of him and could go get. All right. Mike is activating down to 3, probably going to play Accelerate to get Masterful Move.
Yeah, probably want to get your
Gick.
yeah, Kowal with another good point in chat. So if that battle, Anthony starts that battle. If Mike doesn't swing and draws Destiny, or maybe doesn't draw Destiny, maybe loses a couple cards, he has the opportunity on this turn, this dark side turn, to even do more damage and not worry about having to lose Maul.
Yeah.
Mike thought he had an Accelerate, but I guess he doesn't. Probably thinking about the one he drew for Destiny.
Or it could be that he had 3 and he rewound it back to play the Masterful. So, yep, Mike's going to go back in, looking to see if he has another copy of Maul in his reserve deck. He does not. I see Dryden, Shizor, and a bunch of red. I see Kira, Aura, Mighty Jabba, a couple guns, and yeah. So I know one of the things, because drawing Maul for Destiny, that half is brutal. It's a question of, do you play multiple copies or do you just rely on Sith Fury to bring him back? So
Well, I think in addition to Sith Fury, there's also the card that I always forget the title of. I never ask for anything twice,
Yep.
which can get him back, right? And then there's also potentially a what's the card that adds a Destiny when you fire a blaster? A Lawless Time can also get him back.
So there's a couple different outs that you can play to just have one Maul. So we see Mike play Kira from hand and grabs a gun from the objective. And with Gick in hand, let's see, he's counting up his force pile. He's still got over 10 left because he saved 3 from the turn before.
Yeah, it's kind of a sparse hand here for Mike. It's a lot of red cards.
Yep. Batmouse plays all wings to grab red 5.
And I wonder if maybe like holding back Kira would have been better, but I think he has no other options based on that hand. But Kira is someone who you want to survive, right? So like once you know where Mace is, where Qui-Gon is, you want to be able to put Kira down somewhere else to. But also, I guess it doesn't matter if Mace and Qui-Gon are down. So,
if you're the Shadow Collective player, you want to go beat Batmouse off the ground, right? Like that is one of your paths to victory, because if Kira's there and he's having to pay double for each of his retrieval, winning by 9 makes it even harder. So the the fact that Batmouse has already lost one of his sabers could be a factor because the build will typically only play 2 to 3 at most.
Yeah.
So, Mike is just drawing, and based off of the number, like it feels like he has 22 cards in hand, but I'm pretty sure it's at 14, and he saved quite a bit.
Yeah.
Batmouse saved 3 last turn.
It
1,
looks like
2,
Mike
3.
found a couple characters, but it's not necessarily the characters he wants, right? Like Mighty Java's in there, Proxima's in there. Neither of those can carry weapons, and then you also have Aura Singh, who already has the weapon, right? And that's going to be one of your offensive characters.
Yeah. And so we saw Batmouse pay 3 to get Haven, and consequently, the very bottom card of his reserve deck was Luke. But after he got Haven, he's going to reshuffle. So I wonder if Batmouse will pay the 1 just to make sure that he didn't activate Farm Luke. Nope, he's just going to flash him. And let's see. There, oh, he got him. So Space Luke or Farm Luke now hits the table. So Batmouse can start retrieving eventually. They come down for a whopping 2 force. And now we see Qui-Gon Serene hit the table in front of Kira. And another saber coming down. I imagine he'll play Meditation from Lost. Yep.
So that's 2 sabers.
Which Mike has the cards to go punch and hit Serene next turn. We see 3PO play to the Yavin 2-0 from hand. Three PO's back a card. And you're right, Kira is really important. So Batmouse is very much incentivized to go battle clear her off. And he pulls
Only Jedi carry the weapon.
Yep. So he's hoping Qui-Gon's going to stick around. So he swings and hits. Drew a 5 and a 2. So he'll know Wedge is in his reserve deck for next turn. And he played Blaster Deflection, which Kira drawing wasn't necessarily the... I mean, that's not a shot I would care about hitting.
Yeah.
Or
well, you do potentially have to protect yourself if this is your last saber, right? If he only plays 2.
But he'd have to draw a 7.
Yeah.
I guess on a verify, he'd know in its Shadow Collective, they play a couple, but
yeah, there should be some Phantom Menaces in there.
So we know that this is going to be a +2. So looks like Mike drew a 1. I did not see if Batmouse drew Destiny. I don't think he did because he wants the gun to go lost.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. That was a pretty good stabilizing turn for Batmouse there.
He can still forfeit the gun used, can't he?
Not if there's no Destiny.
But it's still difference in power.
If there's no attrition, can you forfeit the gun?
I guess it might say to satisfy attrition.
I'm pretty sure it does, because I know that that's usually the strategy, is that you want to hit somebody decline to draw to get the gun off the board. But let me pull it up.
You may forfeit one of its weapons using forfeit value 3. I don't know.
That may be a question for a rules advocate if he's watching, but no attrition needed. Yeah, that's actually something that I had always thought you needed the attrition. We saw Mike during all of this before the end of Batmouse's turn play Sith Fury to get Maul back, plays Aura down in front of Qui-Gon Serene, and plays Proxima to the other First Light site. We see Borlom go down with Maul to the 2-0. I assume it's
No,
Borlom V.
that's a gun.
Is it a gun? Yeah, I
But
see that. Yeah, it's a
so I
gun.
understand if there's no battle damage, you can't sack the gun, but Qui-Gon is power 5, right? Versus Kira, who is power 3, -1 from meditation, and drew a 1 for destiny. So should be able to sack the gun.
Sacrifice. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, that's either a misplay by Mike or just you know, had a similar understanding to me that it needed attrition. So, but Mike's better player than me. So, what do you think Batmouse is listening to right now? Jazz music, like all of you were listening to at the beginning of the stream.
Yeah. All right, so it looks like Aura Singh got a gun and Mighty Jabba came down to the upper walkway.
So Mike's spreading because this will allow him to flip and recirculate because he'll control 2 battlegrounds with gangsters. And he had the Phantom Menace in hand and didn't play it, which is interesting. Probably because he wants the option to Phil Collins it back. Or
Phil Collins
or
it back.
I just read Jane App's comment. So
There's no 4-lem on table.
yeah,
That's a
I
gun.
know. It is a gun. I'm aware. Looks like Mike's drawing after moving Maul in front of Serene during his turn and flips back.
And then that'll ping Batmouse for 1 here.
Yeah. And it's getting cleared up in chat. And if Gemp Tom is agreeing with you, Bill, then I think that is good enough for me that yes, he can forfeit the gun if there's battle damage. I wonder if Bill probably forgot the -1 from meditation when he did the math and thought it was even. That could be something that went in his head. All right. So we see the liberation draws a 0 and misses, so it's a drain of 1.
Close, but not quite.
Yeah. And he top decked a white border card. I think that's Danik Jericho, maybe?
Yeah, I think that's Danik.
Yeah. I told Mike for my deck for next weekend for Ohio Mega World, since Saracen was coming too, I was going to try and white border as much of the deck as possible. Ketwell, you said it too, which really got me thinking. So I don't want you to think that I'm ignoring you as well. And Bill clarified, he did agree with you. All right, we see an all wings from Batmouse here to get.
So I think he's pulling the all wings with Luke and then grabbing Gray Squadron 1.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, because I didn't see him retrieve. Although, how'd that Virgins get on the top of this lost pile?
That's the 1 force that was lost to the flipping objective.
Got it. See him 3PO. We see Mace come down in front of Proxima, which Mace without a saber, less scary, but still a very powerful, fully immune Jedi.
Yeah, this will be an interesting turn because he's probably going to battle Proxima, right? Because Proxima's not immune to
Yeah,
any attrition, doesn't have any guns to
right.
forfeit. And then we'll see what he does with Qui-Gon.
Yep. I would imagine he's running away.
Yeah, but then he gives up a drain of 3.
Yep.
Probably going to be another ping next turn. So
Bat Mouse draws a 5 for Destiny. Mike draws Dingar, which is
he's a
2.
2. So that's power 4, forfeit 6. Versus Mace, who is power, what, 6 or 7?
I think he's 6. He's power 6.
So it's 11 to 4 right now.
Mike loses an Accelerate and Proxima.
Yeah, I think he was trying to decide if he wanted to add 1 to that so he didn't have to lose a card, but probably just saving that Maul ability in case Qui-Gon decides to
Yeah.
battle.
And here's
Qui-Gon would
what
draw
we
2 Destiny.
Yep. So Qui-Gon moves away. And Batmouse is going to draw a couple cards.
Mike's gonna be able to start to get a little damage in here if he wants. He's gonna get a ping of 1 at least, and then can pay 3 to drain for 3.
At the cost of 1 card.
Yeah.
Which Mike's hand is a lot of red, first light, and I think I saw one other character.
Yeah, it's Balatique.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the best character, but he also has a no escape, so we can get
Yep.
Proxima
So we're
back.
gonna see Force Push or
And now he can't get Proxima back though.
Hondo. I assume the very signed Beef Reddish looking card is probably Dr. E.
Yep.
Look at me knowing stuff. We see Dryden, another Aura, Shizor, and
There was another Dr. E in there too.
yeah. If you're Mike, you could be super aggressive here and drop first light at Haven. I don't think I love being that aggressive, but you can definitely drop first light to Camino with
We do have to
Balatik.
worry a little bit about Kinkian, who fires at +2, I believe, and his shift adds 1 more.
Yeah, the first light has pretty decent armor though. I think
It is
it's
armor 9.
yeah.
Kinkian adds 2. The enhanced proton torpedoes add 1.
So that's 3. So you'd have to draw. You'd still have to draw 7 to hit.
Yeah. I mean, 7s exist in this deck, and he has 3PO working.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely set it up, but that's a lot of like stuff to commit and finding all of those resources when you're trying to not draw as much. So we do see the first light come down to Camino. And I think Mike pulled Shizor with the force push.
Yeah, and I'll probably put Balatique here as a
Yeah.
pilot. Probably get a gun on him if there's one in reserve.
Yeah.
And then even if Bad Mouse is able to set up a 7 to shoot it, Maul can subtract 1 from it too.
And we see
Right?
Shizor come
No, he can't.
down
Never mind. Ignore me.
in front or with Maul and Aura. We see the gun transfer that was on Maul that is not for long to Shizor. Phantom Menace comes down. Mike's spending a lot of time reading the site, just seeing what the damage bonuses and pluses are. Shizor transfers to the ship with that gun, so we do see that. I guess Mike probably knew based off the force push that he didn't have a gun in reserve deck. Maul goes in front of no flips. He's still moving, which will allow him to look at his force pile if he wanted to, since he's alone. He's choosing not to because he don't need that.
Yeah, and so he's
And
facing what? Damage of 1 from the Mace Drain, 1 from the Yavin Drain, and then potentially 2 more from the Yavin Drain.
yep,
But he does get another king here.
yep, and Batmouth peels an all wings from the top. So if you're
Batmouse,
go ahead.
sorry, he has about 15, 16 active, and probably another 4 or 5 left in reserve.
Yep. Draws BB8 for the Liberation, which will force Mike to stack a card, making Yavin now a drain of 2. And Mike top deck something in a Phantom Menace.
It was IG-88 with gun.
Okay. And we see 1 to pull Kifix, 1 to pull. Did he not drain at the first light site?
He did it first.
Okay. All right. And then we see the Camino Battleground, probably trying to get the zeros out of his deck.
Yeah,
We
if
see
there were 2 of
Kit
those in there, that's lucky that
we see Kit Fisto come down in front of Mighty Jabba. Which she'll have to.
is immune to 5, I believe.
Yep. And now we see Gray Squadron from hand with the All right, so Bill, you're a genius, or saw Batmouse's hand, which would be impossible because it's so far back. And now we see Green Squadron 1 come down. It's the A wing. It's Green Squadron 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I imagine they're gonna go over and say hi to the first light at Camino
I don't
after
know.
the battle.
There's something to be said about moving over to Kifix to set up multiple drains in space.
Yeah. Batmouse battled at the Cloud City, drew a 5. Mike drew a 6 to crack Kit's immunity, and Qui-Gon moves away. Red 5 goes to Kifix, and the squad stays there. So Mike's gonna get through 4 points of damage next turn because he's gonna have 2 at Camino, 1 at this 2-1, and then a ping of 1. And it looks like they're spending a little bit of time looking at the order from a 3PO.
Yeah, Batman had put his use pile off to the side and then started a new use pile. So they were fixing that.
Yeah.
And he's going to retrieve one here.
Yeah. So Bill, now that Batmouse is flipped, we're going to start seeing the retrieval come in. What do you think Mike's path is? Because he stabilized pretty well. I don't know that well, first, I asked you a question. I'll let you answer before I go into my rant.
Well, so Mike is going to have consistent damage, right? He's got the 2 in space that Batmouse is content to let him have, it looks like. He's got the 1 on the ground from the gun, the drain of 1, and he's going to be able to move in front of Qui-Gon stack, and also potentially set up a second gangster somewhere so he can flip every turn. So I'll probably see somebody go back down to the upper walkway this turn. So that's going to be consistent damage, and you're not so much worried about that 1 retrieval, or I guess it's 2 retrieval a turn, 1 from Luke, 1 from the objective. You are a little bit more worried about the fact that he can potentially drain for 2 and 3 in space, and whatever you decide not to do with that first light sight too. So
We
it'll be
see a
interesting to
drain.
see.
We see a drain of 1. He loses in all wings. We see Bat Mouse play. It could be worse, which Mike grabs to turn off the Camino drain, and this will either be the ping or the drain at the first light. And there went Bat Mouse's Hujix. Might force Bat Mouse to play a little less aggressively, not having his Hujix, but he will have a chance to retrieve it, assuming nothing else happens this turn.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so worried about that, right? Just because
Yeah.
you're not going to be down Qui-Gon and Mace together.
Well, if Mike does play someone to Cloud City, he would control 3 and then flip.
Yeah.
Or control 2, flip, and then would have 3 battlegrounds and then lose 1 at the end of the turn. But how are the other matches going? Ketlaw, you asked so many good questions.
I know Hayes beat Ryan to move on. And then the other one are in game 2. JC lost by 20 to Steve Brenson, and Chris Werfs won by 4 against Sam Tashima.
Yeah. And we do know that Sam's match is being streamed on his Twitch. Although there may be some camera issues, so they may be working on that.
So no escape for
Mike,
Mighty Java. He goes back to the upper walkway.
just like the movies. Everyone's favorite sayings. So this is going to get Mike to flip. Maybe. There's the 2 to confirm. Because it doesn't say locations, it's just control 2 battlegrounds.
Yep.
Yep, so there's a flip. And Maul is going to warp over to join Mighty Java.
Okay, so Mike's content to take a drain of 2 at that first light site because it is -1. And then also drains of 2 and 2 in space. And I'm pretty sure he's going to pull resistance if he hasn't already.
Anybody top 8 with an off meta deck, and Ryan Saracen provides his own answer of map and the full space Y40. I would definitely say Y40 would be considered an off meta deck. We've been seeing more of the Jedi Biz, and it looks like Mike's drawing plays a point man.
I think
Quickly,
Worf's top 8ing with Cetric Course also counts.
and Worf's for light side was playing. Did I see where that got posted last night?
It looks like JC and Steve are done, but I couldn't tell you what happened.
QMC, yeah. I would say QMC definitely meta relevant at the moment.
No, I can tell you what happened. Steve Brenson has advanced to the top 4.
Okay, I was freaking out thinking someone is ghost typing. It's Dan or someone there on site typing that Old Allies actually made it. I don't know anyone would say that Old Allies is off meta.
So it looks like Batmouse popped his Walkling to get that Hujix back.
If Eric Hunter is still here, there's so many jokes about premature walkling. And then, yeah, he did that before the ping on end of Mike's turn. And Batmouse top decks on shooting the Falcon.
Yeah, so I think based on what I played against Batmouse last week, he's probably out of ships now.
He still has Wedge, who hasn't hit the table yet. So Batmouse activated 16 It looks like there's,
I'd say 3.
I was gonna say
I'd say
4 or
4.
5.
There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
4 or 5. Yeah, 4. I can't tell. The last two were kind of
He's
close.
got 21-ish.
Yeah. And obviously he probably tracked around that Hujix. Just so he had it. Drain for 2 at the first light. So Mike top decks, I think, or lost the Lana combo, I think, in Hondo from the Lana from hand. Or it was an imbalance. I know it was a combo card. I couldn't see which one.
Yeah, he had a lot in his hand earlier.
It was a Lana because they just lost the imbalance and a point man from the top deck. So there we go. And Batmouse is draining at Kifix. I missed the Destiny draw.
It was sand, so it was a 4, so not quite.
Yep. And I now have the answer to my question. Mike is playing 2 copies of Maul.
Yep.
And it looks like an Accelerate and Shizor off the top.
Yep.
I miss what the, yeah. Okay. So Mike's counting. I think he has 15.
Yeah, I would have said 14, but somewhere around there.
And he's got probably 6 or 7 cards in hand. All right.
The first light is hyperspeed 3, I believe, so it can't make it to Kifix in one shot. So he's got to go through Yavin if he wants to move.
Which, if you're Batmouse, you've got to win by 9. So effectively, you're retrieving enough to just say the drain at Camino is a net loss. Right now, your drains of 2, unless, let's see, he flashes a 6, a 1, and I missed the other card.
I feel like the other one should be the Hujix.
I thought he 3PO'd for it because he seemed to, but yeah, you're right. I don't think he played any other cards that turn. So yeah, it's probably the Hujix.
So Ray with lightsaber.
Down in front of Aura. And we see a battle, a 6 and a 1 will hit. And she gets to retrieve 1. Mike draws Dr. E for a 3, which even if you add with Maul isn't enough to hit Ray at 5. So if you're Mike, you don't draw. No, you have to in order to get rid of her.
Yeah, but now do you want to get rid of her? So I think if he revealed that Hujix in the reserve deck, maybe you just leave her alone.
Well, you know that he can get,
Yeah, he can 3PO.
yeah, he can 3PO right into it because we know where it is.
But yeah,
So
maybe it's not the Hujix also. So
so Mace is going to the 2-0. Qui-Gon and his saber saying at the musician site, and Ray with saber is there. Batmouse is putting a card out of play to retrieve 1 from the objective. And he draws 3. It looks like he's saving 3.
yeah, and I would have liked this play better if Mike had a wounded warrior, but I don't see one in his hand.
A Gick, a Maul, another Aura.
Mike did play the gun correctly this time.
Mhm.
He's also paying, or he's draining for 3 here with Maul.
Yep. And so we see a Hear Me Baby, Lando, and All Wings, and now Bat Mouse is going to be out of ships because we see Red Squadron 1 hit the lost pile. I think Mike counted 14 in his force pile, and it looks like he has maybe 3 left in reserve.
Yeah, and we know that that's what, a 4 because it's the gun, and then a 3 because it's Dr. E.
Mm-hmm. And then one other card, I think. Those black sleeves, I can't tell. I figured all the new allies be rocking those amazing new ally sleeves you guys got.
Those are collector's items. Can't be playing those.
All right, we see Aura come down, and yep, it is the gun, and yeah, Dr. E, so it was just the 2. Who's coming with?
I assume Dr. E.
Dr. E from hand, yep.
And Mike will get to flip here.
Mm-hmm. So if you're Mike, you battle in, hope that you can hit Qui-Gon, make him lost. You know that that takes care of all of the sabers. Really wish I had used my crazy Carl sleeves now. Next weekend for sure. Ryan, I can't wait, and I'm hoping I can work out some type of trade so I can at least get 1 copy of that sleeve. All right. So Maul moved back. Mike isn't battling.
Yeah, and
And
that's fine
she's,
too.
yeah, no, because you're basically it's the damage in space. You're gonna force Batmask to lose another one. And he loses an organized attack. I think that came from hand.
But yeah, so facing down. And it's interesting because now Batmouse has to kind of choose between trying to cause the extra 1 damage by liberating versus, saving enough to battle with some of these characters, which he missed the liberate, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And looks like he only has 2 in reserve. And so Mike
My
is kind of
guess
in
is,
defensive mode now too, because he's trying to block all those drains that he can.
yeah. My guess is that he knows what those 2 cards are. He's gonna swing at Shizor, force Mike into a decision of is he gonna draw in order to get rid of Ray and then try to make one of the guns go lost. So we'll see if my prediction's correct with just saving 2.
Well, he doesn't draw. The Ray doesn't draw against Ezor, so.
Oh yeah, that's right. See, this is why I'm glad that no one let me do this by myself because I need someone to point out all my mistakes, which there are a lot.
It's a tough game to keep track of everything.
Yeah, but I've played at least one of these decks a couple times. You'd think I know better. All right. Mike takes a sip of a tasty beverage. And we see Batmouse pay 6, 7 for another copy of Kit Fisto, and he's battling into Mighty Jabba, draws a 5. Mike draws a 5, which is enough to clear.
So now Batmouse has the interesting decision, right? It's how he wants to move these characters around.
Yeah, you can't transfer the lightsaber in the move phase. That's got to be during deploy. So Qui-Gon can't give Mace the gun, but it looks like he's battling into Maul. And that hits after multiple swings. I think Batmouse knows that. I don't know what he's thinking there because Maul's fully immune.
Yeah, I don't love this play.
I don't either, unless you're just trying to outpower him, and it's a 6 to a 2. So yes, you're going to force him to peel a few cards, and he plays. He doesn't have. I wouldn't think he'd have to play Brain Dead. He does force some overflow, so Mike did have to peel 3, 4. Oh,
Let's see. Look up Brain Dead.
well, I don't know that if
Yeah, you have to
Mike had
lose
a
that battle.
peel, yeah, he had to lose, but there shouldn't have been any overflow on Batmouse's part to require the Brain Dead. So
I think he was just trying to put another card in use pile
ah,
and or redeploy Mace somewhere.
well, we know that he could have tracked around one of them. He knew where a mace was from the last turn, so he could have.
So he's
Well,
going
he
to
just
retrieve
did
a Mace
some.
here.
Yep. Which he'll be able to 3PO right to that, since it'll be the top card of his used pile.
Well, I think he's going to move Ray.
No, he's drawing. He's leaving Ray there.
Okay.
Which I think he has found his Hujix by now, or you don't make that play, which when Mike flips back, you
Yeah,
lose one
Batmouse has to
more,
lose one.
which he loses a free ride combo from his force pile.
Yep, because he can't lose the top one because that's the Mace that he wants.
Yep. And he doesn't have that many cards in hand. I think he's got 4.
So grabs that Mace back. And Mike just scooped. So Batmouse is going to move on to the top 4 here. He wins this game by more than 11, potentially. Mike knows he's got that Mace back. Can't really do much. And yeah, I think it was that first battle where Mike ended up having to lose Maul. That was the thing that got him because he was playing
Yeah.
without the they must never again leave. Nope, that's the wrong card. They will be no match for
There's no
you.
match for you. Right. So he couldn't teleport and follow. So that was pretty aggressive. So we know Batmouse is advanced. We're waiting to get the results from Werfs in Sam. We know it was a tight one, which I would expect nothing less from the two of them. Uh, feel bad for Mike. He has had a hell of a year. Hopefully this more than secures his Outrider Cup spot. I know that was a big goal for him.
Yeah, I think he's pretty squarely in there.
Nice. So Bill, we've got Batmouse moving on. We know he's playing Hunt Down and Y40. We know Hayes has moved on. Do we still know what deck Steve was playing at this point? We just know that he. Go ahead.
Yeah, Steve was playing Black Sun in the first matchup, and then I think Old Allies.
Okay.
Chris Schoenthal has said that all of the deck types will be posted before the top 4 play,
Okay.
so we'll know going in what the matchups are.
All right. So we have a little bit of break in the action. We will try and jump back as soon as we have some information on the matchup between Sam and Werfs, which is on Sam's stream. If anybody